On your mark, get set.
What is up? Thank you for coming to my channel, Prison POV. So right now I'm at the Hive, 311 Studios with my good friend JT, Funk One, and if you're a real good friend of his, you can call him Funky Brewster. That's how nicknames are. It's like me, I'm Splinter, Splint Dog, Splinter Wood, or a real good friend, you call me Splint Dizzle. So here we are, man, we're chilling. What's up, homeboy? I love you, dog.
How you doing, brother?
What's up, man? Actually, it's a long time no see, man.
That's right.
I think I met you back in like 5th grade. Probably about that, sort of. Because
about right.
my cousin, Scrappy D, who's here with us. You guys were best friends.
I was friends with Scrap in 6th grade, so you're 2 or 3 years younger than him. So
1 year.
1 year.
So
okay,
yeah,
so
5th grade.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I had for dinner yesterday, but hey, I met you in 5th grade and it all checks out and shit.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay, so 5th grade, I met you.
Before I met you, Scrap was like, "Hey, I think we're gonna hang out with." He was like, "My cousin's coming over for the weekend."
Oh, really?
And that's,
cool.
I think, when I met you the first
Yeah,
time.
that makes sense. Because actually, his parents, I'm gonna say it raised me, but I spent a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
I'd say we're close like brothers. So anyway, 5th grade, I remember you guys had the paper route.
Yeah, we had
That was
paper
dope. I was jealous. I tried to get paper out in my side of town. It wasn't cracking. I thought that was sick. You guys had a paper out, to tell you the truth.
We had the most money in school. I would think I'd make about 120 bucks a month. Scrap would iron his money. He would iron it literally on the ironing board. It was
I believe it.
His money was crispy. It was
What about our pizza ritual? Every payday, man, we
Every
got
payday we
sausage
get
and all the pizza.
sausage and all the pizza from Domino's, and then
And
we
we
go to the
killed
mall,
it.
buy clothes. Like we were balling. We
Clothes.
thought we were balling back then.
That's what I was going to bring up, the clothes. Because you guys got into rapping really, really young.
Yeah,
around that time.
we started rapping, or we were kind of dabbling in it in 6th grade, but 7th grade was when we really thought we were going somewhere with it.
Because I remember you guys would buy the Adidas jumpsuits.
Oh yeah, you're talking about 1986,
Mm-hmm.
1987.
Because he also, in addition to the newspaper delivery route, he started going to work for Uncle Herb. I remember. And I was hating. I was hating before hating was even a word, dog.
Yeah,
Because he got to work for Uncle Herb and he had extra money, he'd be showing up fitted with the Adidas jumpsuits and you guys were rapping. So that was cool, man. So, your first rap group you guys had, Chili Most Crew.
The Chili Most Crew, which you could tell it's from that time period. That's like a term that they would use in the mid 80s.
Oh yeah, that name's totally fitting. Yeah, Chili Most Crew, yeah.
And I think we got that from the Beastie Boys. Said that in one of their
Right.
songs. They said, "I'm Chili Mo." We're like, "Oh yeah, we're the Chili Most Crew."
Yep.
And we were going to be famous. We knew it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but it didn't happen. But
But, I mean, you guys made some big steps. Because then, before you know it, you guys are actually making demo tapes. See, it's a lot different now. And now you can just go on YouTube. You can just record yourself. You can cut through everything, man. Cut through all the bullshit, I guess you could say. Back then, you had to get, like, a producer, a record label, all kinds of stuff. That was hard back then.
I think Scrap. I can't remember what came first, but we did a 3-song demo at this place called. I don't know. It was on California Avenue in Bakersfield, but it was a reel-to-reel, like 1/8-inch tape or whatever. And we did that. And I remember Scrap did something on his own. I can't remember if that was before or after. It might have been a year after or a year before. But back then, like, people used like 4-track cassette recorders, and like it was a big deal to go to the studio. It was like 25, 35 bucks an hour. You put your money in and you buy like 3 or 4 hours, and you had to do it all right then in a couple hours.
Yeah. And then who are you going to get to listen to your tape? You got to find someone, you know what
Dude,
I'm saying?
we
No
would
YouTube to put it
tapes.
on or none of that.
Most of the time, you just have it with you. You have like your Walkman or a boombox, and be like, "Hey, check out, this is me. Check it out." And people are like, "That's not you," whatever. Yeah.
I was telling Scrap the other day, it's kind of sidetracked, but he had a demo tape. This was years after the time period we're talking about. I had actually broke it by accident. And he had a Dickie jacket in his closet with the big pockets. And so I hid it from him, so I didn't want to know I broke this demo tape. I hid it in his Dickie pocket. I'll be damned, he walks in the room, for whatever reason, goes straight to that pocket, the Dickie jacket. He goes, "Oh, fucking broke my tape!" It was crazy. So, okay.
I used to have a 4-track recorder later on, like into my 20s, and with a 4-track cassette, they don't play on a regular tape player. And I remember this dude I was working with used to always steal the tapes. Well, like, as soon as I go to the bathroom, he'd put them in his pocket, and he would think, if I started patting him down before he'd leave after a while, I'm like, "Dude, this is not even going to play in a regular tape deck." He didn't understand that it only works in a 4-track recorder.
Yeah, that 4-track, the same one we recorded Terror Track on, huh?
Yeah,
You had
yeah.
a drum beat, and I played the guitar, I just put on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. I
Come
remember
real
that.
with it, at will with it. But you did the whole verse and everything. I think that dude Danny had a little rhythm
Yeah.
guitar in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
That
Terror
four
Trap.
track too is off subject, but I remember Scrap played a song for me, and it was a drum beat with some guitar riffing and a verse. And he played it for me. I was like, dude, that's sick guitar. He goes, that's you. I was like, no, it's not. Like, I didn't know it was me playing the guitar.
I spent an entire night tweaking, EQing it, just getting the levels just right, so I could do where I could do a whisper track, and then a vocal track on top of it. I had it dialed in, dude, and it was pretty fucking sick.
Yeah,
but it
I
was
was so
over your
happy.
guitar. Yeah.
I was
yeah.
so happy.
You
I
had the
thought-
4-track, right?
Yeah.
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 I
You
was
still
so
have
happy,
that fucking
man.
4-track?
9 has it.
Does he have all those tapes?
I'm sure he had it because I gave him the tapes.
Ooh, I'd
and
love to hear
four
some of those
track.
tapes. But I thought Danny had played that guitar riff and told me it was me. I was like, yeah. And then I could recognize my own stuff. I was like, that
I
was
still
me,
have the
bro.
real tapes, or maybe I threw it out from that dude's studio on California Avenue when we did the demo with Gennaro. Remember Gennaro?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
How about Fresh Cuts? Remember you guys were working with him for a while?
Oh yeah, I tried to get the tapes from Fresh Cuts before, and he just said he couldn't find it. We did a song so good with him, All in the Day's Work. Remember?
Yes.
That was a
Yeah,
sick
that
one.
was a sick song, dude.
And he just couldn't find it. It was heartbreaking. I wish I still had that.
Yeah.
Wish
When
I
did you
had a lot of
guys
shit.
go from Chili Most Crew to Stone Tribe?
Stone Tribe was that was in our 20s, I believe, like early 20s. I mean, me and him were actually in so many groups together.
I was gonna ask you that. Hold up, is there something in between Chili Most Crew and Stone Tribe?
It's really kind of the same shit, and then you start hanging around different people doing music, and
Well, but see, Stone Tribe wasn't just us. It was a collective of.
Other dudes. Oh,
Us,
so another
our-
dudes joined
our
it. You gotta change the
group.
name.
And
you know,
then-
people just join without even being invited. They're just
Right.
like, we're in the group. Fuck that. You
Yeah.
guys are sick. Because back then, in when we were doing it, we were pretty cold with it, and people, you know, they would like, let me get a verse, and then next thing you know, we're in this big ass group like Wu-Tang Clan or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
The jury.
That
Or
one
jury,
song.
yeah, there'd be
Yeah,
like 10
that's
people.
that was more of a.
My favorite song from Stone Tribe is that one. I'm the vultures from the Stone Tribe. Right?
Oh, yeah,
I'm a
Vultures
Dago,
from- yeah.
bitch. I'm the D-A-D-Y. That's right. That's right.
Well, no, that's the one we did
S-C-R-A-double-D-Y.
with Wayne.
Yeah.
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 Dude, that song was dope, dude.
Dude, me and Funk was throwing that back together and back and forth. I mean, that
Wayne
shit was
probably
sick.
still has that.
If
I'd
he
like
got
to hear
that,
that.
He got all that shit.
Dope. Why is everybody always fucking with me? If I'm a sucker, why these motherfuckers ducking from me?
Right.
I'm the funk one, the drunk one, taking out these punks. What did it say?
One by one, something.
Sun to sun, like rum, pum, pum, pum.
Some shit, I can't remember.
So
Yeah.
many ways.
By
to
today's
play.
standards, it's fucking weak. But back then,
I don't
we thought,
think so.
we
I think
thought
so.
we
I
were
think
the
that
shit.
shit's fresh.
I think it's hard as
Really?
fuck,
Yes,
dog.
I think. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm pretty tough critic on myself.
Oh, me too. I hate my own guitar stuff, man. I record stuff all the time to put on Instagram. I'm like, nope, erase that crap, man. I'm very tough critic on myself, man.
Yeah, I'm
everybody
never
is.
satisfied. I'll hear something and be like, I mean, on some occasions, I'm like, I can go back and listen to it and be like, oh, that shit's pretty dope.
No, you're dope. You got a bunch of cool licks, man.
I
One of
think
my
we nailed
favorites.
it on that song though, man. The way we threw it back and forth, man.
Which one?
The one we did with 9, dude.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the don't that be.
What
yeah.
did we ever call that song? Did we ever call it anything?
I don't think we had a name for it.
It was just a single verse, man.
Yeah,
and
that's
it
it.
just
Yeah,
flowed
that's
from
it, man.
beginning to end, dude. Rocket like NASA.
We need to do
Almost
another
it.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what happened after that, man? Let's start moving forward. What would you say some of your highlights of your musical career were?
Well,
And
as
the
far as
time period,
Bakersfield went, so I was doing groups with Scrap, and I was in a couple other groups, and then I got into making beats.
Oh,
And
that's
so-
where it's at, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of always wanted to be able to do it because in Bakersfield at the time, especially in the late 80s and early 90s, there was like 3 dudes that did beats, and they wanted hundreds of dollars to do one song for you. I'm like, fuck that. I can learn how to make beats on my own because I could already program a drum machine or whatever. So I started buying shit. Like when I went to the Army, I bought some shit in the Army.
I remember that.
And when I got out, I brought the shit with me, and we set up at my buddy Wayne's house. And Wayne was actually better than me at programming and stuff. And
Brother Nine.
yeah, and so, you know, I kind of learned just on. It was my shit, but Wayne knew how to work it better than me, and I kind of learned just by watching him.
Mm.
And then I
He
started
is
buying
sick
more
with it.
shit. Yeah, I started buying more shit, and had a studio before I moved out here to LA. I kind of had like a project studio in my garage. I had like a little digital 16-track Porta studio. I had a sick keyboard and stuff that you could program drums, and we were doing demos in my garage.
Mm. Were you
And
making
so-
beats for people?
Yeah, I was making beats.
Selling them?
No,
Giving 'em away.
It was just for fun.
Fun.
Like just for the love of doing music. I just
99
enjoyed doing it.
motherfuckers on the phone calling me.
Exactly.
Making your own beats too.
Yeah, so I was making beats. We did a compilation album with a bunch of rappers from around town. And then the way I came out here was I was working at the airport supervising in the maintenance department, supervising work release of all things.
Okay, hold up real quick. I got to ask a question. You're saying before you came out here to LA.
Yeah.
Okay, so the music didn't bring you out. You didn't come out here because of school.
No, I did come out here for school, but it was through my job at the airport
Okay,
that
let's hear it.
So a friend of mine, Chris Von Platten, who was the boss at the airport, we went to somebody's bachelor party, and there was a dude there who was into music too. And so Chris is sitting there, he's a guitar player and a singer. And he was listening to me and this dude go back and forth about recording and shit. And so after that, like the next day at work, he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, I go, "What are you talking about? I'm working." He goes, "No, you should be in LA working in a studio." I'm like, "You're fucking crazy," because you know how Bakersfield is. Like, we have low expectations. It's like nobody really does anything like that. You know, it's just like this is how reality is.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." So he goes, "No, you should look into going to recording school." I'm like, "Yeah, I can't go to recording school. I can't afford that shit." So he started researching schools.
Wow.
Like, regardless of what I think, and he gets all these brochures. And he goes, "Well, you can do this one, this one, this one." And he goes,
He saw your talent, dude. He saw
Yeah.
your talent, bro.
He goes, I'm like, "Dude, that's $14,000. I ain't got the fucking money like that." So he called him. He goes, "Oh yeah, you could get a grant and a loan." And so that's how I went out here. He like talked me into going to fucking school. So this is 03. Got a grant and a loan, came out here for free, was staying in a dorm, which was an apartment converted into a dorm.
Did the school provide it or no?
Yeah, the school provided it. And it was called, at the time, it was called Los Angeles Recording Workshop, which was in North Hollywood. Now it's called Los Angeles Recording School, and it's in Hollywood, over the hill.
School, the door's not locked if you don't give out, Scott.
One interrupt.
Yeah.
So he found some schools for you.
Yeah, so I went to that school. It was like a 9-month deal. Through the school, and any recording, like if you go to MI or any of these recording schools, there's a couple, there's like Full Sail. I don't even know if that still exists, like a 2-year thing. You can get like a degree in it or whatever. But through the school, you can get internships. So my first internship was
and you went to the school was 9 months?
Yeah, 9 months. And during...
Financial aid?
Yeah, the grants and loans. So
cool,
some
man.
of it was free, some of it I had to pay back.
Okay, an internship. Not all of them offered that, I bet.
Well, you apply for internships, and if you really kind of got to know anybody, and I got cool with one of the instructors there, this guy Dave Frederick, and he said, "Yeah, you come intern at Backroom Studios in Glendale," which isn't there anymore. They built like a mall or something over it, but at the time it was like a hip hop studio. Like Brian McKnight pretty much lived in the back studio with his dude Chris was his engineer, and then there was a front room where, and basically what you do to get into work in the studio, you make coffee and you go on food runs for. And I was there 7 months doing that. Didn't even go in the room. I became friends with these dudes from New York who were recording there, and then they liked me so much that they invited me to hang out in the room with them. And so we were just pretty much partying. It pissed all the other runners off, and that's what you are. You're a runner.
Okay, so let me get this straight real quick. So 1 minute you're in Bakersfield working at the airport.
Yeah.
A friend of yours sees you got
Supervising
talent.
work release.
Supervising work release.
Yeah. Bunch of tweakers.
Bunch of speakers. Guy tells you, "Hey, do you got to go to music school?"
Yeah.
Find some for you. Go. You're in school 9 months.
Yeah.
You get out and you intern.
I was interning during school.
Oh, you interned during, because I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out that 7-month period you talked about. Was that after the 9 months of school? When you were with that people for 7 months, or was that during?
It was during school and kind of a little bit after too.
Okay. So
And
you
then
start
I interned at another studio called the Enterprise, which was a huge studio in Burbank on Magnolia Boulevard. It's still there, but it might be called something different. They had like 10 studios in the building, like SSL, like huge boards. I saw Beyonce in there one time. I saw Keisha Cole in there. I've seen Too Short like 3 times. Twice there, once at the back room in Glendale.
Now, would you recommend it to somebody if they want to get into the music industry to go to some kind of music school like this, just to be a producer or behind the scenes?
I think you could save a bunch of money if you find a studio and you got to be cool. You got to have a good vibe, and you go there and ask to intern. You can skip it because
that's all that music school's gonna have you do anyway, right?
School teaches you
a couple tricks,
a couple things, but you can learn Pro Tools at home.
Okay,
or
so
you can learn Logic at home. Yeah, if you want to work at a major recording studio, I would go to I would try to intern at a studio and skip school. But
right.
maybe they won't let you into. I mean, the studio's tough to get into now because
Right.
people you can record at home now.
Yeah.
Like people have 6 studios in their bedrooms now.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Thanks. Okay, so you intern for those people and you start networking, meeting other people. How did it come into play with 311? I heard something that you're living in your car. Maybe I got the story twisted, and that you're almost going to give up. I'm going back to Bakersfield. I'm done with this shit.
Okay, so I was working at West LA Music. I had a studio apartment on Laurel Canyon. My neighbor was a tweaked out dude from Mara Salvatrucha.
Now you're still interning, and this is you're out of school.
I was interning. I hated my job, but I couldn't find a job in a recording studio that paid. It was all free. My neighbor was a tweaked out gang member who's fresh out of prison, and me and him were button heads. He was trying to break in my house and steal my shit. I was selling pot at the time to like support my life. And so he was trying to steal that. And so finally I was like, the shit was getting so crazy that I broke my lease. I'm like, you know what, I'm going home. I didn't fucking make it. So months prior to this, like 6 months prior, I sent a resume to 311, who advertised through my school's website.
While
And-
you were still in school interning.
Yeah, but I never heard back from them. And so the day before I was going back home, I had broke my lease. All my shit was in my car. I was in the Oakwoods hanging out with my buddies Kevin and Rich, who they were also going back to New York music. Their project had just fell through the floor, and they were like, "Fuck this." We would all quit. We were like, "Fuck this, we're going home."
Because you got to grind in this industry, dude, huh?
LA is a tough town,
You gotta
especially
fuck
coming
grind.
from a smaller town, moving here. It's like, it's going to be tough. Most people go home. Like 5% of people come here stay. The rest of them, they're like, fuck this. It's too hard. I imagine it's the same like in any, like you go to New York City or anything, it's probably the same thing. So anyway, last day I'm in the Oakwoods. Nick Hexum from 311 calls me.
Now, how long is this since you put the
Like
application in?
6 months.
6 months.
I forgot about it.
Forgot about okay.
So I didn't know who the fuck this dude was. He calls. He's like, hey, this is Nick Hexum from 311. We're doing interviews tomorrow. I want to know if you want to come for an interview.
Where'd you apply for?
I just sent him a resume, just as for
No
like
position?
an
Just, hey,
intern.
need
Yeah.
help. Okay.
And so he called me. I'm like, yeah, man, sorry, I can't. I'm going home tomorrow.
Oh, dude, you said
And
that?
he's like, okay.
Oh, man.
And so he hung up. And so my buddy Kevin was like, who was that? I go, some dude named Nick Hexum from 311 wanted me to come to an interview. He's like, what? He's
You
like,
never heard of him?
I'd heard of 311, like I knew Down and whatever, but I didn't know like their names. I wasn't like,
Okay, yeah.
like intimate with the guys, their names or whatever. And so Kevin's like, dude, call them back right now and tell them you're going to the interview. I said, all right. So I called Nick back, and this is how cool Nick is.
How much later did you call back?
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
I said, hey, Nick, this is Jason again. I just got a phone with you. I'm like, hey, if it's still available, I can come to the interview. So he's like, yeah, man, tomorrow, I think it was like 12 o'clock, gave me the address or whatever. So that next day, Kevin and Rich, those was like the only 2 dudes I hung out with. They got in their car, drove back to New York. I pulled up here to the studio in my car, packed to the fucking ceiling with everything I own. And I pulled in and I met Chad. It was Chad and Nick, but first I met Chad, the drummer. And I was like, who's this dude? Like that. And because I didn't recognize him. And he's all, yeah. I'm like, I think I'm in the right place. I'm here for an interview. And he goes, who are you here to see? I go, some guy named Rick. And he
You
goes,
have his name
he
right,
goes,
bro.
he goes, do you mean Nick? I go, oh
Damn.
yeah, it could be Nick. He goes, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm in the right place. So I came in here, right in this room, and I'll never forget, Nick was sitting where you're sitting, Chad was sitting where you're sitting, and I was sitting in the middle of the room. And because I had given up on LA, I was like, fuck it. The dude Chris from the airport already said I have my job back. I've never been more relaxed in a job interview, and
You just didn't care.
I didn't
Because you
give a
already
fuck.
mentally were back in
I
Baco.
didn't, and I'd already been interning in studios for months. Like the buttons don't wow me. Like I've been in the Enterprise, like always around studios is like second nature to me.
Yeah.
So I put my hands behind my back, leaned back, got real comfortable, and it was the most chill job interview that I've ever had. They just asked me, so what kind of music do you listen to? And I was like, I like every classic rock, gangster rap. I just started going through this and that, and they were asking me different, like, it wasn't like my qualifications, it's just like what type of dude I was.
What kind of dude are you? Yeah, that's cool, man.
And I was just super relaxed. And Chad told me later, he goes, you know why? Because I would think I was 27 or 28 at the time. He's all, because you were older, and they're 3 or 4 years older than me. But
They like that about you.
they were like, if you were like 19, like we wouldn't
Still
give you
be
that
wild
much.
and shit.
Yeah, it'd be wild. Like, because you were older, we felt like you were cool and you wouldn't destroy our shit. So they hired me that day they called me like 3 hours later, and my other friend Gif, who was 19 at the time, they hired 2 guys. It was me and Gif.
Hold on, okay.
And we were here every day.
What's up, Scott? Oh, thanks. What's up? Sorry, my bad.
That's all good.
You're waving like, you go, what's
Well, I
up?
was just wondering. Okay, so you
Let's,
have
let's
the
just show these people Scrap, bro, just so they know. That's old Scrappy.
What's up, people? I'm over here in the background. Don't mind me.
Okay,
So I was just wondering. You had the interview, and you said they called you back 3 hours later. What did you do for those 3 hours? Because you said you were ready to go home.
That's a great question. So,
let's ask it again, just in case. So, let's pose again. So the 3 hours.
yeah, so they called me. I'm just kind of like hanging out with friends and stuff.
And you said, no, I'm good. You hung up.
No, yeah, well, when they called me back, said you're hired.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, well, I'm here. I got all my shit in my car. What am I going to do? So my shit lived in my car. I went back to the fucking dorms at the school I'd already graduated from and just kind of bulldogged my way in and was sleeping on the fucking couch there. And I actually, the lady who's in charge of the dorms would, every, like once a week, they'll come do like a health and welfare inspection or whatever. And she's telling me, she's like, what the fuck? You can't be here. You fucking graduated like 3-4 months ago or whatever, or whenever it was, or 3 weeks ago or whatever. And so I would just sneak in. There was always like 3 students in that particular apartment, and they didn't know who the fuck I was. I was just a weird dude who came and slept on the couch.
Oh, shit.
So it was really strange. So I was homeless for like the first 3 months. And then I finally...
I'm lost somehow in the conversation.
I was hired February of 04.
Okay. Let's get back to where, okay. Nick called.
Yeah.
You showed up for the interview. You said Rick. And then you were saying,
Yeah.
you said, is it Rick? And you said, might be. And you're saying you're going to tell a story about GIF.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
I don't want to get lost there.
Okay.
But then I still got confused. But then I want to get back to this question because I feel like I got lost. You asked a question about the 3 hours. What 3 hours are we talking about?
Okay, so he said he had this interview, and then they didn't call him for 3 hours.
Yeah, they called me later that afternoon.
So, and before this interview, you were ready to head back to Bakersfield.
I was on my way.
So what did you do for your 3 hours while you're waiting for them to call
I can't
back?
remember. I think I went
Were you
back to
headed
the
back
dorm.
home, or
no,
were
I
you-
went to the dorm. I didn't leave LA.
Is this
I stayed
before or
there.
after
So
you
you were
walked up and
waiting-
said, I'm looking for Rick or Nick?
That was after. So
After the interview.
I waited for the call all
For 3
afternoon.
hours?
About 3 or 4 hours.
Okay, now I know. Now I'm on board. When you had the interview, they didn't call you for 3 hours.
Yeah, it was like
And
a few
you,
hours
okay, and
later.
you didn't know if you were
interviewed,
hired
like,
or not. Like, should I just continue to go back to Bakersfield or stick around with these folks
Yeah.
to call me?
They said they had
Now
a
I
few more
feel
interviews.
you.
They interviewed like 10 people.
Right. And you're like, should I stick around and wait for them to...
And I did. I didn't want to drive all the way to Bakersfield.
Oh,
and get
okay.
hired.
So you were leaving, had this fucking interview.
I was going home.
You're like, fuck, I'm just sticking, see what they say.
Yeah.
And that's when you start sneaking back into the dorm?
Yeah.
Stick around?
I went to the dorm and waited for the call.
Okay.
These dudes are like, who's this weird dude on the couch?
Yeah. Now I'm on page. I just had to get everything straightened out. I should have took that Xanax I got offered earlier. Okay, so what was the story about GIF, homie? You said...
Oh, yeah, so Gif got hired to work here too. He was like 19. So
both,
me and him
both
were
you
like
guys at the same time.
Yeah, we were the 2 employees here for a long, and Gif was here for a long time. He left, I think, in 2014.
Let me ask one question real quick. How long would you have waited? So let's get ourselves clear again. So you were going to leave, basically. You had this interview. You said you were so relaxed because you didn't give a fuck if you got hired or not.
Well, they said they'd call me that day.
Oh, okay.
So I knew they were calling.
Okay,
so
cool.
they
So you knew it was this that day.
They were going to tell me yes or
no.
no.
And did you think you had it?
I didn't know.
Didn't really care.
It's like
You
I
didn't
was saying,
unpack. You didn't
from
unpack, huh?
Bakersfield, low expectations. LA had already kicked my ass.
Mm.
And in my mind, I had already accepted the reality that I'm going back to work at the airport. Or
Right.
construction somewhere, or fucking oil fields. Or
And they like that
something.
vibe. They like the relaxed vibe, probably, dude. Like I said, he's a little older and a good dude. They felt you out. You're a good dude. And
You know what? After that experience kind of taught me that you just got to be yourself. You have to find a way to be relaxed. You can't be over anxious to get something. It's like with a girl. Like if you're chasing a chick, she's
Trying
not
too
gonna
hard.
like you. But if you don't give a fuck
Trying
and
too
you
hard.
can take it or leave it,
yeah,
she's gonna be chasing you.
that's how it works.
And that's with anything in life. You know,
That's absolutely
in
correct.
my experience. Like you should not have any attachment to anything.
Right.
And then whatever's meant for you is going to come towards come to you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So I hired you and GIF at the same time. GIF still working for him?
No, GIF left in
And
2014.
did they hire you guys? I think you just said that too. Did they hire you guys in the same position?
Yeah, GIF was a really smart dude. He ended up being like kind of the house engineer, and they hired me as a studio manager, which to this day is my title, which is kind of a broad term. I could
You do everything.
I might be trimming bushes outside. I might be running rehearsals, changing strings. I might not be doing anything one day, just hanging out.
You ever go on tour with them?
Yeah, I feel usually if I go on tour, I don't go on tour a lot, but I think last time I was on tour, Brian, the drum tech, had a wedding or something. He was gone for a week, so I fill in for him because I do.
Wait a minute. You played.
I tech drum. I set up the drums.
Okay, gotcha. On tour.
Yeah,
I thought you filled in for the drummer. I was like, yeah.
No, filled in for his tech.
Okay, gotcha.
So because I do those gigs here at the studio for rehearsal,
Sorry.
like so. I'll change strings or guitar. I've teched for Nick for his guitar for his guy Eric and doing bass. So if somebody can't do a show, they might have me out for a few days, and that's pretty much the extent of my touring. I did do a 2-week thing with Nick when he did back in 2004. I was his guitar tech. He did a political tour, rock for I think John Kerry, something. It was like for the campaign or whatever. We did that. And that was pretty fun. But yeah, usually I'm at the studio. I haven't done, you could count, maybe I have 30 touring days in the past.
How many
15
guys
years.
do they take on tour with them? Hands. Does each, like the guitar player will take 2 dudes, the drummer will take 2 dudes?
Yeah, bass. Nick, the singer, he's also a guitar player, and Peanut, the bass player, have one tech. His name's Eric, good friend of mine. Tim, the lead guitar player, has a tech, has a guitar man who also does SA's DJ rig. And then Chad, the drummer, has his tech. And then they have what they call a monitor engineer. He's the one, there's a board at the side of the stage. He makes sure that the band can hear whatever mixes they like.
Okay.
Then there's Scotch Ralston, who's kind of the longtime producer and their front of house engineer. So he works here in the studio when they're working on an album, and also at front of house, the board out in front of the stage to make sure that's going right. And then they have lighting guy. We got a guy, Bobby, does all the lighting.
How do you get those kind of jobs? Intern?
Yeah,
Application?
you kind of know
gotta be like
somebody.
a buddy, huh? They hire their friends, that type of shit.
The thing about, if you want to be in the music business, there's so many things you could do, especially touring. Like they have riggers, people to set up the lights.
How would you do it? How would you get involved in that?
You know what? You just start learning about it. You're like, okay, that's a job that I think I'd be interested in. You start learning about it, and you just start inquiring. Like, here's a cool little story. In this magazine, it was like EQ magazine. There was an article about Dave Aaron. They're written by Dave Aaron, and who's Snoop Dogg's engineer and front of house dude, and his email address is at the bottom. I sent that dude an email and just said, "Hey, my name's Jason. I'm going to school here, this and that. I'm hitting you up to see if I could do an internship." And I could almost kick myself in the ass because he emailed me right back and said, "Can you come on tour tomorrow?" Like right away.
Wow.
And I got spooked because I was still in school. I'm like, well, I got to get my certificate, which in hindsight was fucking stupid because I could have went out with him on tour with Snoop Dogg.
Wow.
And maybe I would have lasted a week. Maybe I would still be working for him now. I don't know. You
Maybe
don't know.
we'd be in Snoop Dogg studio right now, huh?
Yeah. But the bottom line
And he'd be
is,
looking at me going, Splint Dizzle.
the moral to the story is you got to knock on doors.
You gotta knock on
You have
doors,
to
right?
ask people. If you want to be an engineer in a studio, you find an engineer and ask him, "Hey, I want to be in," even if you don't know shit about it, ask him. If you want to be a guitar player in a band, pick up a guitar, practice, become the sickest guitar player you can be, and start playing songs, start playing with people. And see, if you're meant for it, you're meant for it.
Absolutely,
And if
man.
that fails and you can't be a rock star, which probably isn't going to happen for most, it's very rare that you're ever going to be a rock star
There's
because
so
the
many
band
variables,
has to
dude.
get along. One,
Let me say this. How many badass bands do you think are out there that never made it?
Oh,
A lot of variables, dude, huh?
dude,
Tons.
5% of every band, 2% of every band probably makes it. And the number one step to making it in a band, I believe, is that the band members get along.
Oh, yeah.
After that, it's okay. Now we just got to come up with a good song. But if you get along, you're going to come up with good music. But the problem I've seen, because I've been in several bands too, besides rap groups, I've been in a couple of bands, is that all the different players have a different idea how they want the songs to sound.
All right.
And depending on your ego or your emotional attachment to these songs, that could lead to fights or arguments. Or
As
whatever.
far as one may say, I want to speed up right there. Or I want to do breakdown and slow down
or
the
I think we
chorus.
should do this type of music. Like, I'd rather play a little more funk than rock. Or
Oh,
this
okay.
guy wants to be a little more metal. Like, you got to agree. There's got to be a vision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes those differences make up the 311 guys. They all kind of have different musical tastes, but the combination, but they still get along.
Yeah.
The combination of all these different perspectives make them the interesting band that they are.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's how a lot of other bands are.
Definitely.
You know.
Now you played at the Whiskey, dude. Let's hear about that.
I played
That's sick, bro.
at the Whiskey twice. It's
How'd that
nowadays
happen?
it's pay to play. And so the first time we played there,
Now, was that your band, or you just wrote the music and you snatched up a couple guys to play the music?
no,
for
no,
you?
that was a band. We were already gigging. My buddy Kevin was a guitar player. He moved from New York out here just to be in the band. So we were pretty serious at the time. And there was kind of a popular band in LA. I forgot who they were, but they were headlining, and I knew there was going to be a bunch of people at the Whiskey. And the chick who worked the booking office there called me. She said, "Oh, you want to do it?" It was like $600.
That they paid you, or you had to pay them?
I had to pay them.
Okay, that's what you said, pay to play, huh?
Yeah, LA sucks, dude.
So you actually pay to play, wow.
It's pay to play. But I knew that gig was going to be packed because of the headlining band.
Yeah.
So I told the
So they make
band,
money off you paying them and the people paying to get in.
well, you're
and shit,
supposed
and
to
the
sell
drinks.
tickets.
Yeah.
So, but you buy the tickets from the venue,
Okay.
and then if you're the shit, you can sell those tickets.
Or your CDs? Can you sell your CDs or your merch too?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
do all that. But if you're honestly, if you're in a good band and you truly are the shit, you don't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like people are they'll see you at some hole in the wall that you didn't play at, and it's like when Van Halen started, they were playing like backyard parties, and they were just so good that people kept coming to their gigs.
Yeah.
That's how you know you got something. If people keep coming back to the gigs and there's more people every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it's like, then maybe you want to pay to play.
Yeah.
But I just want to play the Whiskey. That's like
That's
Jim
sick,
Morrison
bro.
was there, Hendrix played there.
Man.
Everybody's been there.
You
so
made it, dog. I mean, if you played the Whiskey, bro,
Yeah, but
Jeez,
honestly, it was a pay to play. It's no big deal.
still it's sick.
But it's Hollywood history.
Yeah, definitely, bro.
Yeah.
Definitely. Let me ask you this. Did anything almost derail you going to school?
Yeah, well,
We're talking earlier. That's a
We're
loaded
talking-
question. I already know the answer, but it's a good story.
so
What happened, dude?
a couple months, I moved to I think it was January of 03. I moved to LA a couple months before I was scheduled to come to school, and I was still working at the airport.
You're enrolled.
Yeah, I caught a gun case. So I got caught with a sawed-off shotgun, fucking pistol grip, electric tape around it. And what happened? We were just out in the field shooting it off, all just hammered, me and a couple friends. And so we were driving back from the field, and we got pulled over. So I had the gun between my fucking feet, and a cop walks up. Instantly, I put my hands on the fucking roof, and I told the two dudes with me, I'm like, trust me, put your hands on the roof for this, because in Kern County, they'll fucking kill you.
Oh, man, you're a cap.
And so the cop walks up, he goes, what's going on? Why you got your hands on the roof? I said, sir, before we even talk about anything, I have a shotgun in between my feet on the fucking floorboard. And so he's like, okay. And he pulled his gun out, and he's like, thank you for telling me, because if I wouldn't have told him, I would have been fucked.
Yeah.
Like, I found out in the future, too, it was one of the factors that kept me from going to prison. So I go to court, and they were
What
going
did
to
they charge you with? Just like possession of a firearm?
possession of an
stolen
illegal firearm.
Okay.
And
So it was all
maybe
sawed off and-
discharging too,
Okay.
but possession of an illegal firearm because it was sawed off.
Mhm.
They didn't like when the cops saw that gun. They were bummed.
Yeah, yeah.
They were horrified. They were like, this is a ugly gun.
Yeah.
And so they asked me where I got it. It was actually, a friend gave it to me, or gave it to me to hold. But they asked me where I got it. I go, yeah, I got it from some tweaker. I made up like a name at the liquor store. I bought it for $50. So I made up a name that I didn't think anybody had, so it wasn't like snitching. Hopefully nobody had that name and got like, we know you gave that dude a gun for $50. But so anyway, the lawyer offered me 3 years state penitentiary. Called my mom and never asked my mom to bail me out or give me anything. I'm like, Mom, they're gonna send me to prison this time, because I kind of had a record. I've been going to jail off and on throughout my whole 20s, but never penitentiary, just county time. And so they were gonna give me 3 years. It was the first offer. Got a lawyer that my mom paid for, thank God. Lawyer comes back, hey, we got it reduced to 16 months, state penitentiary. I'm like, I got this paperwork showing that I'm enrolled in the school. I'm leaving in a month. And I'm like, I can't go to prison like that. So, he kept asking for more money. We kept giving him like $500 more or whatever.
That's crazy, huh?
So he comes back, he was all hyped. He's like, got reduced fucking, it's unheard of, a year county jail. I'm like, dude, you're not getting it, bro. I'm like, I'm going to school. And straight up divine intervention. Like, God intervened, because they so he goes, do you have the paperwork showing you're enrolled in school? The judge wants to see it. And so it was Colette Humphreys, fucking mean ass chick judge. And so she brings me up before her, and she's like, I'll tell you what, you're enrolled in school. Oh, I also got a note from the director of the airport, Ray Bishop. Wrote me the sick ass letter, like told him how good of an employee I was and this and that. So that helped too. And so she's all, I got the letter from Ray Bishop, God rest his soul, he died a few years ago. And I see you're enrolled in school. She's all, I'll tell you what, I'll let you go to school and without going to jail, but you're going to be on felony probation 5 years.
Which is rough to do.
Yeah, if you violate anything, if you get in any trouble, I'm going to give you that whole 5 years.
Yeah, she would have.
Yeah, and she would have.
Any kind of trouble.
And I think you're doing 80% of that at least.
Yeah.
But she's all, yeah, you're doing 5 years. So do you agree to that? And I'm like, yep, I sure do. And coming from Bakersfield, like I was telling you earlier, I was still out here when I moved out to LA. That first year, I was still pretty wild. I was drinking, partying. And the cops are different in North Hollywood than they are in Bakersfield. It's like, I'm at the intersection, Lancashire and Vineland, 4 or 5 in the morning. It's still dark. I'm fucked up, high and drunk. Cop rolls up to the side of me. I look over, give him one of these. They look at me, give me one of these, and I kept it pushing. In my mind, dude, I was going to prison right then. Because in Bakersfield, if you get pulled over, it's just you and them on the street, and they're going to look at like, what are you, you're not going to work.
Yeah, they're going to get you, dog, for sure.
Because I've been pulled over so many times, every time.
When it's just you and them.
When it's just you and them. Anytime it's just been me and them, they're bored.
Yeah.
So that, like, I knew I was going to prison. And they kept it pushing. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. I'm like, oh my God. These motherfuckers.
And
I was loaded. I was fucking whacked.
Yeah.
So, and that was, even if it would have just been a misdemeanor DUI.
It don't matter.
It was going to violate my felony probation. Yeah. Colette Humphreys was going to see that, and I was going to get 5 years in the penitentiary. So anyway, I go back. I had to report back to her when it was over. And she was looking at the paperwork, and she was like, I made this deal with you? She couldn't believe it. She was like, I would never make this deal with you. She said, you're so lucky. I'm like, that's God, divine intervention.
What's awesome, too, is I think if you look at the percentage, no one completes that felony probation.
Nobody.
And
I was getting a lot of
conviction rate.
And I was still fucking up. I was still flirting with prison. You know what I mean? Because I was still, like, there was just a part of me that was so, like, everybody from Bakersfield that I know is just wild as fuck. It's just the way we were brought up. You know, some wilder than others. But I still had that for like probably my first 5 years living in LA. It's like, it's hard. Like, I've mellowed out tremendously. You know, but I still had it for like 5 years living in LA. I was still getting into all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
You know?
But wild for a long time, huh?
Oh, yeah. Since
High
childhood.
school.
Since childhood.
Childhood, yes. I really remember us getting wild in high school.
Yeah, high school used to get pretty nuts.
Shit, before high school.
Before high school. I remember that.
Chocolate milk runs, Funk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we used to steal because we were talking about paper house, we used to steal my mom's car. We'd pick up homies, and there was this neighborhood in Rosedale that you could go to in Larson's Dairyland, delivered milk. And if you went early enough, and parents weren't tripping because they knew we were up early doing our paper routes, so we'd just get up an hour early. We'd go there, fill out the order form, get some donuts, chocolate milk, this and that. And so we'd go back, we'd follow the truck, go back, grab the chocolate milk.
Oh, shit.
And then the regular milk, we just go by our fucking enemy's house and fucking chuck milk at their fucking house.
Hey, so tell the soda pop story from
Yeah, so we
Market.
broke into there was these trains behind this place called Center Market, like rail cars that were parked. And so we grabbed some bolt cutters, chopped the locks, stole a bunch of fucking cases of RC Cola.
Because we couldn't find beer.
We were looking for, because they had beer in there before. Because we had broke in there like a handful of times previous and found beer and shit. But all they had was cola. So I think 10 cases. And then we went to this dude's house who's actually dead, Brian Bradley. He passed away, unfortunately. But at the time, it was kind of like a friendly little rivalry. It was just like skater dudes, and we didn't like them, which is weird because I like everybody now. But we went by Chuck milk at his fucking house. His dad came out and caught my mom's license plate.
Oh, snap.
And he had a cop friend, and they looked up the thing. So dude comes up to the house, And we fucked up because we didn't hide the fucking sodas in the bolt cutters. We're like, oh, we'll do it in an hour when we do paper routes.
We just left him outside.
Left him outside. So he comes. Scrap's the size he is now. Back then, this is like 7th grade, 8th grade, or something like that. This dude's got Scrap is about to drill him. This grown ass man.
Damn.
My mom comes out. Stop! He's a kid. He's like, ain't no kid. He's a kid. And then nothing happened. But they called the cops. We were supposed to go to juvenile hall.
Probably a bunch
And
of times.
Center Market dropped the fucking charges.
That was crazy.
They dropped the charges because we were supposed to go to Camp Owens for 6 months, remember? And nothing really happened except for I got my ass whooped.
Mm.
You know, and me and him couldn't hang out together for like
Oh, they tried that.
a long time. Our
Right.
parents was like, you guys can't hang out together no more. Because me and him were just always getting in trouble.
Chili Mo's crew.
Oh, yeah. We were just, you know, just wild.
So we're gonna wind this down, man. Any last thoughts?
What did we miss, dude? Is there anything?
Went over pretty much all of it.
You want to talk about guitar playing or anything?
What would you say about guitar playing? What do you think?
You know, it's
This
just-
is the guy that sent me the guitar and amp I have, and he worded it pretty cool. When he sent it to me, he said, he didn't give me a guitar and amp. That's my guitar and amp. It's just been here the whole time.
well, let me tell you something about
He's been
Chris.
holding it for me.
Before I went to the Army, I remember Chris was picking up the guitar. And I remember I think I showed Chris a power chord and a
Yes.
couple chords. And I went to Army boot camp, and I shit you not, in 2 months I came back on leave, and within 2 months this dude was shredding Metallica. I couldn't fucking believe it. It's the fastest I ever seen anybody learn
Yep,
guitar.
you tell me to play guitar at Money Mike's house.
Yeah, just like a basic chord.
Yeah.
Like a power chord maybe, and maybe a couple of open chords. And this dude was shredding.
Yeah.
in
I
2
remember
months.
I made it weird with my finger. Do you still feel the way if someone does their finger weird? Lost
Yeah.
it, remember?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
go, oh, don't do that to your finger, dude. There's,
Yeah,
you were in,
to this day, I still bend my
Yeah,
like,
you were in music school, you said East High.
Yeah.
And you said a girl would do it like that. And you just gives EBGB. He's like, don't do your finger. Yeah, you taught me the power chords, bro.
Yeah.
I remember I went to the Army, and you sent me a picture. You had bought a guitar and amp in the Army, too.
I bought I think it was called a PV Tracer, and which I sold to this dude. I wish I still had it. And that was a pain in the ass, though. I had one of the Floyd Rose tremolos.
Yeah.
And I took all the strings off at one time. You got to use the Allen wrench. The fucking bridge like pops up vertical. And I was like, so I had to take it back to the shop. I didn't know how to change the strings at the time. And so I never changed the string. I kind of did. I liked the guitar kind of, but then I kind of didn't.
Yeah.
And
Those
so
Floyd
sold it
Rose. I
to
couldn't
me.
wait to get one. And it's just,
Dude,
They're
my
not all
buddy
that.
Eric, who texts for Nick and Peanut, is a master at changing strings with Floyd Rose. Like, he's really good at it. And all of his setups
Excuse me.
are Floyd Rose. You know, he's like heavily influenced by Eddie Van Halen, and so with the Floyd Rose, they stay in tune, and you can
with the whammy bar.
You
That's
can
what's
hang
good.
it by
Yeah.
the whammy bar.
Yeah. Without the Floyd Rose, use that whammy bar, so you got a tune quick, huh?
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that's about it, man.
Yeah, Ben. Well, while we're here, I love the channel. I'm a fan. I think the channel is going to blow up,
Thank you, brother.
and it's good to see you out here on the streets doing good.
Yes.
And not because we didn't see Chris for 20 years. He was just like, I would ask, hey, what's up with Chris? Well, he got out a couple weeks later and went right the fuck back in. So this dude is legit spent at least his whole 20s and probably half your 30s or more. How old are you now?
To keep on the down low.
Okay. He spent his whole 20s for sure in and out of the penitentiary.
And majority of the whole 30s, too. I'm early 40s.
Yeah.
Some low 20s, 30s, yeah. Definitely.
That's a young looking early 40s right there.
It ain't that prison water, dude. And locked up in the cell all the time with no
Right.
sun. Because you notice a lot of people do a lot of prison time do look young, man.
Yeah, they do. Everybody, I know a lot of people that spend a lot of time in prison, and they come out like they've been in fucking Gold's Gym the whole time, and you
Yeah.
know, just all ripped. And,
Look young, act young, too, because you don't mature in there. Seems like.
Yeah.
Get stuck with that Peter Pan syndrome.
Yeah, you're around a bunch of kids too, who are wild. So I mean, you have to be wild just to hang with them. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. But man, I'm going to be back up here. This
Yeah,
is
if we
our first
forgot
review.
anything, just let me know.
We'll do another one.
Yeah, we'll do another one.
No, dog.
Yeah, man. Right back
Cut the
at
string
you.
on this, let it fly. Help me throw it up there, dog.
Peace.